With all the issues in the news about the British Embassy refusing, as of December, to any more endorse documents for people who are showing that they have a pension coming in that they need to support their applications for an extension of stay for a retirement visa, I thought the best thing we could do is call the British Embassy ourselves and get it really from the horse's mouth. Now, on the phone, we have Amy Mayhew, who's been on the radio with us before, and the Vice Consul responsible for stamping the documents, Leanne Galloway. Good morning.
Good morning, Tommy.
Now, did I describe your job correctly? Are you the lady that puts the stamp on documents?
Yes, I head up the team that puts stamps on documents, that's correct.
Okay. Now, we've had the news this month that as of the middle of December, you're not going to be doing it anymore for people who have letters confirming their pensions. Is that correct?
Unfortunately, yes, Tommy, that is correct. And I just want to assure British nationals in Thailand that it's not a decision that we've taken lightly. We are in regular contact with immigration on a variety of issues, and we've been in a lot of dialogue this year about the documentation that they expect us to produce from the embassy.
Right.
So there was a sort of pivotal moment in May this year where immigration told us that they expect that we are verifying the income and all the sources of income from British nationals that request an income letter from us. And we're not able to do that. So we've had to make the difficult decision to stop that service. As I say, we haven't taken it lightly, and we would never stop a service where there is no other alternative.
Right, but just 1 second. An awful lot of people relied on this to get their applications accepted for extensions of stay. How many people do you think actually in a year or a month were using this service to date?
So here at the embassy, we issue on average about 250 to 260 income letters every month.
That's 3,000 a year. Oh, yeah. 3,000 a year. That's a lot of people. Now, why were you able to stamp these documents before, but you can't stamp them anymore?
That's a very good question, Tommy. And I suppose essentially it comes down to, it was just something we always did for years. We always just stamped documents, but in the last couple of years we've had a big sort of push from our head office, the FCO in London. They've actually come in and had a look at everything we do. So if there's something that we're doing, that there's an alternative provider, or where it's not actually required by law in the country, then we need to look at ways of reducing or streamlining or stopping that service altogether. So in the case of pension letters, Thai immigration have told us that they expect us to verify the income that British nationals are stating on these letters, and regretfully we have no way of doing that. We cannot. It's impossible to verify the income, both state and private, for every British national, for every pension provider in the UK or any other country.
Is that because of data protection? Is it because you haven't got the time? Is it because you don't want to spend the effort? Is it because you don't have enough staff?
There's quite a few reasons why. The first one that you mentioned, yes, due to data protection, a new law, which a lot of British nationals will probably be aware of, it came in May this year, the General Data Protection Regulation, which really, really tightens up the information that we can request from individuals, and it affects basically asking us people to verify their income or to show us their income. So we can't do that. What else?
I don't know. You're going to tell me.
Yeah, so we can't do it for that reason. The whole verification thing, as I've explained, if you were bringing any other foreign document into Thailand, they would require it to be verified. For example, this year as well, we stopped doing copies of degree certificates, and that's because the Thai authorities told us that they want degree certificates from the UK to be verified, and us photocopying it is not verifying it. In fact, verification of documents is not a consular remit at all.
It's not?
No. Consular officers are not verification experts, and we cannot verify.
Right, but you've been doing this for years.
We haven't technically been verifying. We've been stamping documents because that's kind of just what we did.
But I've got to ask you seriously, I'm sorry, Leanne, when you stamped the documents, what were you saying when you stamped the document?
The pension letter?
Yes.
Yeah, so we are saying that ex-British national has stated and has shown us statements that they earn X amount per year, X amounts per month.
Ah, okay. So what you were doing is you never verified documents. You were continuing.
Never been something a consular officer can do ever.
Okay, now before we move on with this, surely you're not going to be the only embassy that does this, because we know from other sources that the Americans were involved in similar conversations with the Thai immigration.
I don't think we're in a position to comment on what other embassies are doing. The only thing I can say is that if any other nationals are concerned about the services that their own embassy are providing, that they should contact their own embassy directly.
Right, so at the beginning of the week, we ended up with a story which was that as of December, a British national who was living here as a retiree, who had been using this service to support his application to stay here with his wife, kids, home, whatever, wasn't going to be able to do it anymore. And at the same time, we have a clampdown on anyone thinking that they could find an easy way around proving that they've got $800,000 baht in the bank. Now, the Thai immigration has made it very clear they're not going to let people use any form of trickery to get a visa, to get an extension of stay. You then stated that if a British national could show immigration that they have an income coming into their Thai bank account every month of 65,000 baht, then that would be sufficient. The Thai immigration didn't seem to be too clear on that. Can you explain that to us?
Yes, happy to explain. So on Thai immigration's own website, which is online for everyone to see, it very clearly states the minimum income required for each visa type. So for the retirement visa, the requirements are that the applicant must be at least 50 years old. They must have an amount of at least 800,000 baht in an account in Thailand for no less than 3 months prior to the application for the visa, or a monthly income of at least 65,000 baht.
Right.
So that's not new information, but the amount, the minimum income threshold has always been the same. It hasn't changed. It's always been that amount, regardless of if you show funds in a Thai bank account or show funds from any other source. The amounts are always the same.
Right. So has Thai immigration confirmed that if a Brit takes their bank account statements for the last 12 months to immigration showing 65,000 baht or more going into their account, that will be accepted as proof of income?
That is exactly what Thai immigration's website says. That is exactly what immigration officers in immigration in Bangkok have told us.
Okay.
And that's always been the minimum income threshold.
Right, so Thai immigration officers in Bangkok have told the British Embassy, you guys, British Consulate, that the alternative to having 800,000 baht in the bank is to show bank accounts for maybe the last 12 months showing a regular income of over 65,000 baht going in.
Yes, you must have a minimum income of no less than 65,000 Thai baht.
Right, and a bank statement is going to be sufficient to show that now that they can't get this letter from the British Embassy.
Yes, and immigration are very used to actually receiving this bank statement or evidence from Thai banks.
just to recap, according to you guys at the British Embassy and the British Consulate, a British national who takes 12 months of bank statements to immigration, they will be accepted as proof of income, which is required for them to get their extension of stay, which we call a visa, for retirement.
That's correct. So the financial minimum requirements have always been the same. It has always been either a lump sum of no less than 800,000 Thai baht in a Thai bank account for at least the 3 months prior to the visa application, or evidence of monthly income of at least 65,000 Thai baht.
Right, now here's the kicker, and we have to look at this very, very carefully. You're talking to immigration in Bangkok, who are in the capital. They are the top people, and they're talking to the top people, and you're all working in unison. So in Bangkok, a British national is not going to have a problem, according to you. They can go in, they can take their bank statements for the last 12 months, they can show 65,000 baht going in, and that will be accepted as proof of income. The problem is that outside of Bangkok, it doesn't appear necessarily that immigration offices are aware, because they're so used to getting this letter from you guys, or a bank statement with 800,000 baht in it for 90 days, they're not necessarily aware of this. How can anybody take this information and present it when they go to make their application?
That's a great question, actually, Tommy. This time last week, so last Friday, we did a follow-up courtesy visit to immigration. So whenever an embassy wants to communicate with the authorities in their host country, so in this case, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Thailand, we have to send a formal communication. And that takes time to be delivered and sort of to filter down into the relevant departments. But what I can assure British nationals is that last week when we had a follow-up meeting with immigration, they informed us that they had been told, made aware of this, major change, that we're not going to issue the income letters anymore. So it'll be up to the Thai authorities themselves to filter that information down to all the relevant immigration areas across Thailand. But what we will be doing between now and the end of the year is, if there is a real need, we are happy to go down and speak to immigration in Pattaya, if there are still concerns or, miscommunication, interpretation of the change that we're bringing in. I'm more than happy to go down and have a conversation and clear things up.
Okay, because obviously, and between now and middle of December, anybody can still apply for this letter from the embassy.
Absolutely.
And they're valid for...
Will still be available until the end of December. We have to do the cut-off date on the 12th of December, because we do have a 10-day turnaround time. That's our service level agreement to British nationals. So we need to make sure that we can process the final applications before we finish before the 1st of January.
Okay, and when people get this letter, it's actually valid for 6 months, isn't it?
That's absolutely correct. So we started our communications about this important change at the start of this week. So that's approximately 3 months lead time before we stop the service. But anybody that has a pension letter, for example, issued on the 31st of December, it will be valid until June 2019. So essentially, British nationals have actually got almost 9 months to sort emergency plans.
What we need to suggest to the 3,000 people who are using this form of verification now is to apply now. It's going to overload you, so that they can get these letters, and then they're covered through till June while everybody gets sorted out, and every provincial immigration office understands, according to you, that immigration, the head office of immigration, have said that a bank statement is sufficient to prove income.
That's right.
So you're ready for that, are you?
Yes, we've planned that. We've been planning for that, basically. We've been planning for the reaction that we've seen this week. And we knew it wasn't going to be a popular decision. And we're planning for additional resource, if necessary, before the end of the year, to ensure that anybody that applies for an income letter on or before the 12th of December, that they get it before the end of December, before the 1st of January
So,
2019.
so a foreigner basically from any country doesn't need to go through their embassy to get this letter or any verification. A foreigner from any country can simply show 12 months bank statements.
So, I mean, that's very, very pertinent, very interesting that you've mentioned that, because I did ask immigration last Friday, how many people use the income letter or the pension letter and how many people actually show their bank statements, and they said it's about half and half.
Right, but you're talking... They're talking about
British nationals in Thailand on a retirement or marriage visa are already demonstrating the funds in their Thai bank account.
Yeah, but there's a difference, because when you ask them that, they're talking about the 800,000 baht in the bank. They're not talking about people showing that they've got a monthly income.
It's for everything. It's for either the lump sum or the income of at least 65,000 baht a month.
Okay, cool. Well, it looks like this is all kind of becoming quite easy. We started off at the beginning of the week with a big problem. You've explained it in a way that's kind of alleviating the problem, in actual fact making it easier, because people didn't even need to go and get this letter from their embassies. They could simply show 12 months bank statements.
That's correct, Tommy. And if you actually go to immigration.go.th and you look at the requirements for a retirement visa, and you look at the requirements for the visa if you're married to a Thai national, there is actually no mention of getting a letter from the embassy either.
But it's just people have become accustomed. I think
people have got used to asking for the pension letter, and I can understand why. But essentially, there is a minimum income threshold. The Thai authorities, they like to verify anything that's not from Thailand. So they want to verify the source of the funds to make sure that British nationals or any other foreign nationals are actually receiving that amount. Unfortunately, regretfully, we cannot verify all the sources of income. But the alternative, which has always been available, is to instead move that money into a Thai bank account.
Right. Okay. Well, Leanne, I can't thank you enough for taking our call. Leanne Galloway, the Vice Consul responsible for documents.
Responsible for the notarial and documentary team in the British Embassy in Bangkok.
Thank you so much for taking our call. We're going to put this out on the radio so that everybody catches up, and we'll put it on other media as well. You're happy with that?
I'm more than happy for that, and if you get any other queries, questions from concerned British nationals, I'm happy to maintain regular dialogue and answer any questions that they have.
There you go. If you've got any questions about this, we're going to put it on Facebook as well. You can let us know if you've got any questions in a private message on Facebook. We'll pass it on to the embassy and the consular services there. They'll get directly in touch with you, not through us. And it looks like it's all plain sailing. Leanne, thank you so much for joining us.